Morning, children. Once again, I am here with you to teach you online. My main purpose is to draw your attention towards what I guide you, what I teach you. Today, I have decided to give you some materials, give you some hints and guidelines on the first chapter of first flight, that is a letter to God by G.L. Fuentes. A letter to God. This very chapter the title of this chapter seems very surprising. Why surprising? Because there is no address to God. No one can reach God. It is only the heart of man that experiences the presence of God. So, faith itself, the man's faith itself, is the address of God. Better to say. So, the first chapter, a letter to God. In this chapter, the writer gives us the picture of an innocent farmer who has an extreme faith in God, a profound trust in God. But on the other hand, you will see that farmer had no faith in mankind, no trust in mankind. He had extreme faith in God, but no faith in mankind. But you have to know that God is omnipotent, omniscient, and omni omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. God sometimes favors us in the guise of, in the shape of man. Man comes to help us, and he acts as the role of God. So in the story, what happens? You see, Lencho is a poor farmer. Main character is a Lencho. Lencho, who was Lencho? Lencho was a poor farmer. He was totally dependent on his crops. His family and he himself were totally dependent on the crops. Once it was misfortune for him that his crops were destroyed in a very powerful hailstorms, and he became very helpless, hopeless. He did not find any help from any human being. There was only one hope for him, only one help for him, and that hope and help was from God. So he decided to write a letter to God to send him some money. It was his faith, it was his profound faith in God, deep trust in God, that he wrote a letter to God to send him 100 pesos. He wrote the letter and went to the post office and dropped it into the mailbox. The post office employees read the letter and they became very surprised. They made some fun on Lencho, but postmaster was very serious person. He was a very what do you say kind person, generous person, and he could understand the feelings of a poor farmer, Lencho. What did he do? He talked to his staff, collected some money from them, and sent part of the money to Lencho. 70 pesos. 70 pesos was sent to Lencho by the employees of post office. When Lencho received the money, he was not satisfied. He thought that God did not have any scarcity of money, and God could never make any mistake. So there must be some fault at the post office. Second time he wrote the letter to God, mentioning clearly, complaining clearly that if God wanted to help him, if God wanted to give him some money, he must send the money not through post office, but some other by some other means. Because people at the post office are very dishonest and fraud person. The story ends here, but the message is that a person must have faith in God, no doubt, but he should also understand that whatever help is done upon him, the help is through mankind, through human being or through some person. That human being, that mankind, that person is also the guise of man. They also symbol of, God, symbol of God, representative of God. Better to say, they are also the representative of God. But Lencho, being a very innocent farmer, he did not understand that. Finally, you understood. I think the story was totally based on a poor farmer, Lencho, his faith in God, his trust in God, wrote a letter, dropped in the mailbox. Postmaster read the letter, understood the faith of Lencho. He did not want to break the faith of Lencho. He collected the money and sent part of the money to Lencho. As a result, Lencho became annoyed and wrote the second letter. Why second letter was written by Lencho? Because Lencho did not receive sufficient money as required by him. Okay. Now, my dear students, I will give you some questions and you will attempt the questions. But before that, one thing I would like to remind you. Yesterday I had given you one very important task. The task was that you have to prepare the name of the chapters and writer's name. Have you done? If you have not done, once again I am telling you, this is very very important. Your teacher is telling you, it is very very important. What? You have to write down the name of the chapters and the writer's name and try to get by heart. It is very important. So if you have not done, do it today itself. Okay. Now the questions from the first chapter, A Letter to God. Who was Lencho? First question. Who was Lencho? Second, why did Lencho write a letter to God? Third question. What did the people at the post office do with the letter? Next question. What type of man was the postmaster? Again, next question. How much money was received by Lencho for the first time? Next question. Why did Lencho write the second letter to God? Next question. Why did Lencho blame the people at the post office? These are the questions you will try. Thank you. Thank you.